All right, gearheads, we just watched McLaren secure the championship for the constructors. Unbelievable season for McLaren. Lando Norris with the win at Abu Dhabi. An emotional speech from many different teammates and drivers. Really fun to watch. Our final post show of the season. It's Jon Massengale sitting with Jonathan Green and Bob Varsha and Chris Medland has his microphone. I can hear him lighting up out there in Abu Dhabi. Jonathan, I'll start with you. What do you think?
Everything was beautifully done, except that the world champion didn't show up.
Well, yeah. You're going to bring us straight into that.
I am going to bring you straight into that. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was there was so much nice stuff right there from Ferrari, from Mercedes, from McLaren, and then you look back at the restart at the start of the race again, and Verstappen, I said to you, could have won this race, and yet another petulant move. Really, just stupid, really.
Yeah, a little bit of a sour taste added to the celebration of the season.
It was on my mind. It was on my mind. That was the only thing missing.
Well, lots of fun words from everybody else around this. But Bob, what do you think? What's your take?
Well, I agree with everything that's just been said. It's just a shame that Verstappen, went back to his old tricks and tried to bully his way, in a 59-lap race.
In the first 100 yards.
Yeah. And Piastri had so much on the line, and there was nothing for Verstappen to gain. I mean, he's won his championship. His team is out of the running for the constructors' title that they've held for so long. It was just bloody-minded, as my old colleagues David Hobbs and Steve Matchett would say.
Insult to injury, Perez also out on that very same lap.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about it every week. There's good and bad in every single race, no matter which drivers and teams you're pulling. Yeah, seeing Perez go out was difficult. Verstappen's move was difficult. Trouble for the Williams team again. The Kick Sauber boys, Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas, whose qualifying effort showed the real possibility of doing something significant in this race. Bottas picking up his first points of the year didn't happen after he had an unfortunate, I don't think it was deliberate, but it was certainly an unfortunate coming together with Kevin Magnussen, ruining K-Mag's last race with Haas. There's a lot of that sort of stuff. But all of that is brought about by what we talked about in the pre-show, that nearly half the grid that started this race is going to be elsewhere, in or out of Formula One next year. So that adds a certain extra poignancy, because it's the last time for this, it's the last time for that. It's probably an appropriate way to end this amazing Formula One season, where McLaren went from nowhere to their first championship in 25 years. Who knew Lewis would be as far off his game, that Verstappen would have so many challenges, which he would meet by and large. I mean, he's the right guy who won the championship, I think.
Bob, let me ask you a question. This is a tough one to put you on the spot, but I'm just thinking, see what your gut reaction is. What's the reason McLaren have had the success they've had this season specifically? Is there one guy? Is there a team manager? Is there, what is it?
I don't think so. Remember earlier in this year when Adrian Newey, the guru of all Formula One designers and the man who apparently can part the waters or walk on them, depending on your perspective.
Or both on a good day.
Yeah, right. When he announced he was going elsewhere, he put himself on the market, which was very much unexpected. Zak Brown said his board of directors at McLaren came to him and said, we need to go get this guy. And Zak said, no, I don't think we should, because we've got a great department. We've got great chemistry. It's all working. And I think he was proven right, that Zak is a great manager, a great assessor of talent among his people, his staff, large and small, in their responsibilities. And that's what I put it down to, is that they as the old adage goes, plan your race your plan, That's what McLaren did once they realized the situation they were in the early races. They said, we've got to do this, that, and the other thing. Did them all. Sure, there's a certain amount of luck involved.
Yeah.
But it was veteran Formula One racers doing what racers do. And that is adapt.
Yeah, and if I was going to answer my own question, I would say that the heart of all that, the rudder, is definitely Stella. There's no question that he has been the writing factor in many ways to have that upward trajectory. And I mentioned earlier that their upgrades are a straight line, which means every upgrade they brought worked. And we saw the first evidence of it at Miami. We were there to see it. We saw Norris win. And from there on in, he was in contention. But they never really believed it until literally last a few races ago.
Yeah, well, let's get out to Chris Medland. And because, Chris, I was really enjoying listening to the crowd on the radio with Lewis Hamilton and just chanting his name. But give us a snapshot. What's happening?
Yeah, so I've put myself right in the middle of the celebrations right now. I'm down on the grid, just under the podium that's just finished. And all the McLaren team are down here hugging, celebrating, going a little bit crazy. I'm trying to see if Andrea Stella's around, actually, because it was Zak Brown who went up onto the grid. And, the team are pretty happy with their day's work, I think. There's lots of different personnel, some of which I'm allowed to excuse, some of which I'm not. But they are overjoyed with their victory here. So I'm just trying to see who might be in a state to speak. I will tell you at the same time, there's the F1 film crew are swapping places with McLaren now, so I think shoot and scene themselves. But there's a drone show going on at the end over turn one. But there's a lot of smiles, a few tears, must be said, and a lot of nice congratulations from other teams. I saw a lovely touch from some Ferrari mechanics who did genuinely look devastated, going and shaking hands with certain colleagues, friends that were working for McLaren. So it's been a hard-fought year between those two teams. And I tell you what, that was tense, wasn't it? That was those final. Well, the whole race actually hinged on Norris getting the job done and not having a problem. Yeah. Because with Ferrari second and third, just one issue. If he'd lost one spot, that was Ferrari's title. Like, so tense.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, Sainz said he thought he had a puncture.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And John was like, well, gosh, that could happen to Norris any moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that was not a calculated message from Sainz to suggest, there might be debris, we might need a safety car. I wonder. I will have to see if I can find out. I don't think you'll tell me on air if I get to him today, but I do wonder. So I'm gonna find my way through all the papaya, and hopefully we'll speak to a few of the team members in a bit. They're dealing with all their requests, and I haven't seen Andrea Stella, so I'll have to keep an eye out for him. Zak Brown, I'm told we can definitely speak to at some point, but boy, is he going to be busy.
Oh, he'll talk to anybody. He'll talk to anybody now.
Yeah.
Too right.
Yeah.
Well, Chris.
And let's not forget, Zak Brown offered Andrea Stella the team principal role a long time ago, and Stella declined it. He said, I'm not ready. I'm not sure I can do this.
Or you're not ready.
And then later on, Zach, in his wisdom, went back to him and said, are you ready now? And he said, yeah, I think I am. And the rest is history.
That's cool. Good story.
Yeah, he did need convincing. But Zach saw that was the guy that he wanted, and he got him in the end.
Right.
I've just made my way back into the pit lane, and Ferrari are just kind of commiserating. But I tell you, they gave it a hell of a go today, and I think they can be very proud of the fight they put up. And this wasn't necessarily, raw pace. It was clear, wasn't it? The McLaren was the quicker car. Norris had it under control out front, but what a drive from Leclerc back through the field, and Lewis Hamilton as well.
Yeah.
But Leclerc said pre-race that he was going to do something special,
and he did.
And I can see Fred Vasseur right now. So I duck some interviews, and he's got a smile on his face. I think he's proud of his team too. So we'll see if we can hear from him as well at some stage.
Well, before you better get to Zak Brown early, because apparently Lando said that
they're going to get hammered.
Are going to get hammered this tonight. So
it is hammer time.
Like we should get him late, right? If we get him late, that's going to be
that's
one
true.
heck of an interview if he's already hammered.
It is hammer time now.
That would be a much better interview. You're right. I just saw a tweet.
And you got to feel for the teams up and down the pit lane, because the testing is coming up next week. They don't have to pack everything up. They can leave everything where it is, like the garage, go have a celebration, and come back and start running laps again on Tuesday.
I just saw a tweet from Connor Daly. He said, I feel like getting absolutely hammered with Lando Norris and Zak Brown would be an awesome experience.
No, you've got work to do. Connor, stay fit, stay healthy, no getting hammered.
Oh, yeah.
He knows all those boys well.
Yes, he does.
I was just going back to the beginning of the race at my notes, obviously with Max Verstappen. We'd already talked about that, but how about K-Mag getting aggressive with Max Verstappen? I saw Max give K-Mag a little bit of room. A little more room than he gives other people. It's like
when you see yourself in the mirror, you know.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, he's like, okay.
I've got to tell you guys, Zak is not lying. He already has a massive glass of champagne in his hands. That's his first interview. He's with the Sky team in the garage, and I've snuck in. I don't know if I'll get to him, but I'll park myself here in case.
Watch out for that producer.
Oh, I tell you, no signs. That's all right. I'm safe.
Those guys, especially the drivers, their diet is so scientific. They get proportioned out whatever
they're a cheap date.
Yeah, exactly.
One beer and they're done.
They're all excited about getting hammered, and they're going to have 3 drinks in and be done.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they're all exhausted.
On that note, actually, I remember Kimi Räikkönen winning here in 2012. It's one of my first races I covered, away from Europe at least. And he won for Lotus. And he came out for the team photo after 2 beers, and he was already gone. And he did some of his media sessions after a couple of beers, and he was well on his way. As you say, dehydrated. They're low body fat index. It doesn't take a lot to get them merry.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I just saw a nice stat for Oscar Piastri, one of the McLaren drivers. It says Oscar Piastri joins an exclusive list of drivers who have completed every lap of a single F1 season. Schumacher in 2002, Hamilton in 19, Verstappen in 23, and Piastri in 24.
Piastri done it today, yeah. Done it.
It's nice.
Yeah, so Lando didn't lap him because he got close at one point, which would have ruined that stat. As the music really ramps up here, I'm sure you can hear the noise. I'm inside McLaren garage, which is essentially a nightclub already. I don't know how to hear each other think, talk, say anything. So,
Chris, if you want to go ahead and start imbibing as well, we could get some extra.
We'll record everything.
I'm not sure I'm in the right place on that front, but we'll see. Just seeing how we can get into queues at the moment. There's a lot of people who want to congratulate Zak Brown, so we're about to, I think, lose this battle. There's a lot of people I've not seen before. So, as you can imagine, this very popular man after this result. And he's going to want to get around everybody because it's been a huge effort to turn around this McLaren team. Absolutely enormous from where they were. It wasn't that long ago. This team was in financial difficulties and at the back of the grid, really. He's putting the champagne down. I can't believe that. Zak, you're putting the champagne down. Why?
I don't want just a glass. I want a bottle. But I'm waiting to get some Jack Daniels. I want some really good stuff.
Stop to plug in your first. Come on.
It'll be better.
Well, this is a great team effort. I was going to win this constructors.
Still working.
Unbelievable. It's just, especially that race. That was high stress. That was the worst 2 hours of my life.
Was this going to be the best 2 of your life?
Oh, now it's going to be the next best 24. I guarantee you that.
Well, how proud are you to turn this team around from where it was and become constructors champions?
Men and women here at McLaren are just awesome. And that's what we showed tonight. Long may it continue. This ain't easy.
It certainly is not. So what are you going to do to celebrate?
Oh, I don't know, but it's going to go on for a while.
All right, well, I'll let you enjoy it. Thank you, Zak.
Great job.
I love that. Oh, he was thinking all the things that he couldn't say right at that moment.
He was, and I'll admit I was in front of a lot of people that probably should not have been in front of there in the queue. But you know what? We backed away from people yesterday, didn't we, politely? Not today. Let's go and see who else is in. This is chaos in this garage, I can tell you that. There are people on top of the benches. There's a trophy in the roof already. Let's see who we can see. Is Andreas Stella in here somewhere? Let's see if we can find some more team members to talk to, because it's been a while since we're talking about anyone except Mercedes or Red Bull winning Constructors' Championship.
I'm just waiting for someone to walk up with a bottle of champagne and drench Chris in it.
I hope not. I very much hope not.
Hey, another bright light that just occurred to me looking down at the results here. To see who got fast lap, even though he didn't get the bonus point.
Was it K-Mag still?
K-Mag.
K-Mag.
Yeah. I saw them put him on soft
nice.
tires with what? It was like 12 laps to go, or maybe more, maybe 15.
So now it's a predictor. If you get the fastest lap, that is your last lap.
Yeah. Oh, that's
amazing
true.
That clout that he gave the car in his collision with Bottas, that he was, able to have, a car solid enough under him to put any kind of tires on it and get fast lap.
Well, while
you K-Mag.
Yeah, exactly. While we're waiting on Chris, let me just run down the final order. Lando Norris, of course, wins. Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton made it up to fourth, passing Russell right there at the end. Verstappen in sixth, Gasly in seventh, Hülkenberg eighth, Alonso in the points at ninth. Piastri snagged the last point. Albon, Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu, Stroll, Jack Doohan, Kevin Magnussen 16, Lawson 17, and then the cars that didn't finish, Bottas, Colapinto, and Perez. What other stories, Greenie?
Well, as you know, Gasly won by 1 point over Hülkenberg for
securing
the 10th position. It's 42 points to 41. So good story there. The RB threat never came to be. Lawson had a wonky wheel. Tsunoda just didn't have a good day, really. So they were never a threat to the Hülkenberg stroke Alpine battle. Yeah, I mean, all in all, just some really good stories throughout. A footnote, Doohan, I thought equipped himself well, given he was thrown in there, literally. I mean, I know he's been waiting for this opportunity, but I think he equipped himself well. The team let him down in qualifying. They admitted that. So, fair day at the office for his first debut.
Yeah. Bob, Varsha, do you think that he, do you agree with Jonathan? Did he do himself good here overall?
I think so. Yeah, under the circumstances. I'm sitting here pondering whether Russell was complicit in Lewis getting up to fourth. Lewis was faster at the end, but, I thought, I wonder if George would just let Lewis sail on by, trailed him by.
We were talking about that.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Had it been for a podium, we think he wouldn't have. But considering it was just fourth and fifth, swapping spots, maybe so.
And he did it round the outside without much effort. Yeah, it was a very good move.
Well,
yeah.
I was about to say, though, I don't think George didn't have it easy.
No, he didn't.
You said it live, Jonathan. You said you agreed with you, Chris. He didn't. Yeah.
It was a great move.
George would have lifted before that corner. Yeah, George would have. And that meant George defended the inside, seeing as it had to be the outside for Lewis. So, yeah, I definitely think that was him fighting. Cleanly, but fighting.
Yeah, and Toto had come on the radio just a moment before that and said, keep it clean. He didn't say, don't fight.
Yeah, I was just checking the Formula One Twitter to see if the driver of the day, I was wondering, would it be Hamilton? Would it be Lando?
No, it's Leclerc. It's Leclerc.
It's Leclerc? Okay, coming from the
Charles, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That first lap was epic.
Well, yeah, that's
absolutely
true.
Epic.
Yeah. They showed the replay where they showed every pass that he made throughout the race. It was pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, he was on it, and I do feel for him in many ways because you could hear the pain in his voice. He kept asking, didn't he, what it meant for the championship, if they're in a position to win it or not, and it just didn't quite happen. But very, very good effort from the drive he put in. I have lined up Fred Vasseur for a chat, but it won't be until later on in the show because he is also as popular as the McLaren guys, actually, seeing as they came so close. And I think Fred will be pretty gracious in defeat, actually. This one is strange, isn't it? Because that's going to sting Ferrari. It was a chance to win a championship. It hasn't happened. Mid-season's when it's cost them. But they weren't waiting as long as McLaren were. But it's just the expectations around that team are so high that I think this will kind of now go down in Italy as, okay, you're there. Next year, you've got to get it done. Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I think he's going to be really relishing the opportunity, to be honest, next year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who wouldn't? But, I mean, and his position is, I think it's fantastic. All right, guys, let's get a quick break in. When we come back, we'll have more from Abu Dhabi with Chris Medland, and we'll continue to break it all down for you. Back after this. All right, let's jump over to YouTube, see what's going on over here. Lots of comments. Mike Bowles, happy for Andy P. Yep. Kevin Kelly, a lot of stories in this race. Yep. Joe Oyster Bay says, Lando pasted everyone. No mistakes. Right on. Absolutely. What a year, he says. Yeah. Man, no kidding. What a year. And there's Andy P. Woohoo! Still shaking, guys. Never easy. But the good things shouldn't be. Yep, absolutely. The Wood Source says Lewis Hamilton probably has all the goods from the house already packed in the UK to move to northern central Italy. Not a bad place for an early working retirement. Let's see what else. Bill Ricker, Max Elbows collects more penalty points. Yep.
Yeah, eight now in the 12-month period. That's close. He can only really afford 2 more incidents. Needs to get a ban. Wouldn't
that be interesting? Good point, Bill. Let's see.
You have the stones to do it.
Yeah. D. Nelson agreed with you, Bob. I think this was much earlier in the show. He says, well said, Bob. I call him Max the Axe when things aren't going his way.
About right.
Oh, yeah. Kevin Kelly pointed this out, what you did, Jonathan. 2-second pit stop. That puts him in the top 10 for the year.
Okay.
There was a couple 1.9s, a few 1.9s this year.
I think I would like to know what the Red Bull one was that they did after Verstappen's penalty.
It was 13 seconds.
Rapid.
And Andy,
yeah, but that
total, yeah, that's what I mean. So it was a less than 3 second.
Andy P said exactly what I said to you when it happened, and he says exactly when they had to have it. Right, the team it's so perfect for a constructors champion to do that fastest pit stop. Because there was all the pressure in the world was right then, and they delivered a 2-second pit stop. All right, coming back.
Hi guys, this is Pierre Gasly and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
And Pierre Gasly delivering a clutch performance, bringing home that Constructors' Championship. That was a fantastic performance from him too. In the break we were just talking about on YouTube with the guys and gals there, we were talking about McLaren, how it all boiled down to that last pit stop for Lando Norris. And the team
nailed it.
And they nailed it with a 2-second flat pit stop.
Well, we said at the time, didn't we? That epitomized why they are the Constructors' World Champion and why they deserve to be.
Yeah, and they had a bunch of the top 10 pit stops this year.
Yep.
It used to be owned by Red Bull, and McLaren had a bunch of those this year. So, hey, Chris, what's going on out there in Abu Dhabi?
So I've parked myself outside the McLaren garage now. I've come out from the chaos, which has slightly settled down. It's still very loud in there, but the music's gone off and everyone is genuinely swigging from bottles of champagne. But Andrea Stella's out here doing some interviews with Italian TV. I'm sure actually very proud because he's come up through the ranks with Ferrari and now is an Italian team principal. As much as Ferrari didn't get the victory, for Stella to have got it is very impressive. I was nearly going to head off and see if I can grab a quick word. Yeah, maybe follow. Fred Vasseur's here. Fred, sorry, I was waiting for your counterpart, Andrea Stella there. Tough results in the sense of not winning Constructors' Championship, but boy, did you put up a fight today.
Yeah, I think we did the max until the end. We pushed until the last corner of the last lap. It was the plan, and I'm very happy with what we did today because to finish P2 and P3 was unexpected with the opposition on the grid. Now we have also a bit of frustration because to finish 14 points behind McLaren, it's less than 2%. That we have to keep this in mind. But I have a huge respect for McLaren for what they did coming back from P8 or 9 a couple of years ago. It's mega for them, and it's also mega for the F1 because it's a big team, and I really appreciate all the guys at McLaren, and congratulations to them.
Well, what about Ferrari though? How do you view this season? Because as you say, so close, but yet so far.
Yeah, so far because the target is not to be P2. That it means that as long as you are not P1, it means that you failed. But overall, I think it's also a good season. If I'm honest with myself, not too harsh. I would say that we did a decent step forward compared to 1 year ago. We scored 50% more points than 1 year ago. all the KPIs are very good, but target is to win.
Yeah, you're trending in the right direction. So how do you feel ahead of 2025 then? I mean, this surely will sting, but will motivate you too.
I don't need to find motivation. I have the motivation and everybody has the motivation. For sure, it's tough tonight, but I think it's tomorrow morning. We will be fully focused on Bahrain, and I'm sure that the team will push on the right direction. But it's true that finish like this, 14 points behind, it's a bit harsh.
I just want to finish on your two drivers. Firstly, Charles today, what a drive from him.
Yeah, he had a fantastic lap one. We had a bet together before the start of the position lap one, and I will keep it for me.
Have you lost it?
We both lost it. But no, but it was a mega race, not just lap one, because then he overtook 6 or 7 cars, and he was flying. But it is like it is. It's not today that we lost the championship for sure. And now let's party.
Well, just before you party, word for Carlos, leaving the team. What a job he's done.
Yeah, that. And I think today it's the image of what he did with us the last 2 years. I don't want to speak before, but honestly, he was mega professional, very consistent, always there, and with a huge fight with Charles. And this is good because I think it's a kind of positive emulation. And it's like this that I want to have the team fighting all together, pushing on the same direction. And Carlos did more than his part of the job.
He certainly did. And Lewis Hamilton joining next year. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, but let's celebrate tonight, and we'll have time to think about 2025 later on.
Well done this year. Thank you for all your time as well and joining us on the show.
Hey, Chris, so he's talking about 2025. The one thing that in modern Formula One we have to remember, they lost to McLaren, but they won the CFD time.
Sure.
Think about that. Sure. I mean, I know that's definitely glass half full, but it's true. They're going into next season. They're going to have a little.
They're going to need it because he's going to Bahrain for the first race, and that's not where it is. So he's going to miss Australia.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's a good point. Well made. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and look, Carlos Sainz, he's got to be proud, right? He spent 4 years with Ferrari, which every Formula One driver's dream, and he's only been displaced by the GOAT.
Yeah.
So he's got to be proud.
Oh, no question.
Bob, what are you smiling at over there, Bob Varsha?
I'm just kind of thinking about the whole season and how things work out. Lando Norris redeeming himself for his error in Qatar by, with a champion's drive today. And thinking about Carlos Sainz and all that he's done for Ferrari. It's going to be quite an onus on Lewis Hamilton next year for all that he's accomplished. As you say, perhaps the greatest of all time. But he's going to be in a very new environment, new staff, new engineer, new mechanics, new car, all these things that are going to make it tough for people not to say, well, maybe if we still had Sainz. So it is a whole new chapter for Lewis, and he's going to have to step up. That's quite a challenge that he's given himself.
Yeah, what do you think, Greenie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any fear that he will step up, and I think he's ready for a new brush. He's ready for a new challenge. There's no question that the timing is right. Like I said before the race, that had this been the end of the season and he didn't know where he was going, or he was going to stick with Mercedes, I think it could be looking at retirement. But I think this Ferrari move will be as it always is. Everybody wants to at some point drive in the red colours, and I think he's going to be pushed all the way. I think, as I said, for me, the qualifying between these two, the best qualifier there is in Leclerc, and the best ever in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. Also, I can't wait for the next, Chris and I got wheel to wheel to talk about all this stuff, but we also are going to have a few shows on our Sunday night show where we talk about this season. But 2024 is going to go down. I mean,
it's been a classic, yeah.
I remember, actually, I was interviewing Daniel Kvyat early in the year when he was coming to Austin for NASCAR.
Yeah.
And he was talking about Formula One. It's it's still boring because at the beginning of the year, remember, it was
Right,
still Verstappen.
yeah.
He was saying it's boring. We haven't had a good season. And
Well, he won 5 races from 7. And we're like, oh, here we go again.
And this season has just delivered. I can't wait to accumulate all the stats and look at all the analysis of this season looking back, because it's going to be really cool. And it all really started in Miami, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's kind of where
That's where the machinations, as it were, started changing with Norris getting that win.
Yeah, it was Norris won, but then everybody else started. It wasn't just McLaren. The fact that we've got Alpine, Gasly up here, Hulkenberg, P4 yesterday in qualifying.
Talking about a Miami victory, I've managed to get Will Joseph, who is Lando Norris's race engineer, who I've been approved to talk to. We checked with comms. Another one with a glass of champagne in your hand. It's all right, Will. We begin everyone. You can say whatever you want in North American radio. How special does it feel to get over the line, be Constructors champions with a victory with Lando as well?
I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. You know, I don't think it's quite sunk in right now. I think the excitement of everyone else is what's fueling me right now. Certainly high levels of pressure coming into the weekend, not directed upon us, but you just feel it in yourselves. But now it feels fantastic. You know, having been at McLaren 18 years and being around when we won the drivers, I remember being in a pub when we won that, and now I'm here on the front line winning it as part of the team. It's just amazing.
And it's your driver getting across the line, but it's a true combination, you and Lando. How do you feel the two of you together have grown through this year, winning multiple races?
I mean, you know, we've grown from when we started working together, and every race we learn something new, and we sort of often have to be quite firm with each other. And, you know, our team briefs are very honest and truthful, and that just makes us stronger by every single race. So I hope we don't go and make the same mistakes again, and we get better and better and better, which is why we're already excited about next year. You know, bring it on.
I was going to say, I'm glad you brought that up. So I feel bad throwing it forward when you're already celebrating tonight. But next year, do you feel you're primed for a driver's title tilt too?
I mean, you never know, do you? I mean, the beauty of this sport is it's relative. We might do the best job in the world over winter, but if other people do a little bit better, you just don't know. So until we get to Australia, we really won't know. But we're going to try our best. We'll try our hardest.
At least you know we're going to Australia. Fred Vasseur's off to Bahrain for the first race. Apparently, he got that wrong. So, congratulations on the championship. Enjoy tonight. And do you have to go back down to work on Tuesday as well?
We are at the test on Tuesday. Yeah.
Don't even get time to enjoy it that much. Look at the grind, but well done.
You know, the joy on people's faces is amazing. So yeah, fantastic.
Enjoy the celebrations. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
You got
amazing. For a season like that, the guy says, "Bring it on, ready to go again."
Yeah, it's really good.
Really good. He's one of those superstars of the sport. One of those race engineers for a championship caliber driver like that. You know.
And I tell you what, was thinking while he was talking was, you know, what a 4 years we have ahead. If we take it forward to, 29 and 30, 6 years ahead, we really do. I mean, all the rules will be the same for next year, so we've got every chance that it could be the same again. Red Bull aren't going to sit on their butts; they're going to get going, and obviously 26 is going to throw everything up in the air. And then from 26 on, there's almost a new level playing field potentially, or at least,
with all those new rules coming in,
GM and Ford, all part of it. Wow, Audi.
Yep. Chris is right in the middle of the party. I can hear it going through your.
You can hear it. Yeah, that was me actually limboing under a camera while Oscar Piastri ran by to hug Zak Brown.
I told you to stop doing that. It's a good party trick, but you can't. You've gone too early with the limbo.
My back won't hold up, will it?
No.
And it genuinely won't. But I will get a word with Oscar in a little bit. He's just doing a bit of TV, and then he'll come back to us. And then I might go back into the paddock because it's still chaos out here at McLaren. And I'm hoping that we're going to have covered off pretty much every angle.
As long as you hug everybody.
But, there's plenty of others. Yeah, it's been a lot of that. There's too many champagne-covered people, actually, for my liking. I'm getting soaked any time I give someone a congratulations. But,
taking the victory picture interesting. I'm sure it'll be like herding cats.
Oh, absolutely. Although they are now clear to do so because the podium, I think, has been used, shall we say. Everyone was told to stay out there for a movie shot. So there was a few more podium celebrations that kicked off with, I believe, current drivers were on the podium. That's as much as I'm allowed to say, I think. But funny enough, not the McLaren ones because they were celebrating.
Chris, I know it's a bit left field to ask you this at this point, but we've got a bit of a lull. What are you looking forward to tomorrow and Tuesday?
So, Carlos Sainz of Williams, actually, tomorrow he'll drive it in a filming day here in Abu Dhabi. So, late in the afternoon, he'll do kind of a few laps on rubbish tyres, as they call them, the demo tyres, so that you can't learn a lot. But that will be intriguing to see him. That's how quick the turnaround is. It's why I wanted to talk to Fred Vasseur. Tonight he'll celebrate with Ferrari, I'm sure, but only to a certain degree, because tomorrow he's down to work with Williams. Esteban Ocon as well will be here at track tomorrow. He stayed away this weekend. He was going to be part of Haas, but he's decided that he's actually going to he would be a potential distraction to Haas, so he stayed away and will be here first thing in the morning doing his seat fit and getting ready for his test outing. Loads of drivers are going to be running on Tuesday, and I'm going to stick my mic in with a lot of them as well. Some of them probably more excited about testing than others. Certainly the new ones will be. We heard from Gabriel Bortoleto, didn't we, earlier today? And don't forget, McLaren young driver. He came through the driver development program and he won the F2 title as well, then heading off to race for Audi next year. So it's been a good day for McLaren.
Does he remain a McLaren asset?
He does not. No, he's been completely released. McLaren said they would not stand in his way. Obviously, Audi being a huge team. So, yeah, he's being totally released to go to Audi. And I think that's admirable. I haven't been able to kind of find out if McLaren wanted to keep him in some way, shape or form, but I don't think it really logistically would have worked. Given the size and scale of the Audi project, he needs to be fully embedded in there and fully committed to it. And Audi are never going to really sign a driver that they then maybe would have to give up.
Yeah. Hey, I know Sonoda's doing the Red Bull, but presumably Lawson is not.
Sorry to cut you off, Johnny, but I've got Oscar Piastri here. Oscar, that must have been a tense afternoon for you.
It sure was. It didn't get off to a great start, did it? And then I finished the job off and making it tough. But very proud of everybody in the team. This success has obviously been from the result of a year's hard work, or even longer than that. This journey that we've really turned around has been the result of 2 years' work. And it's a real pleasure to be part of this. I never would have dreamt that at this stage of my life and stage of my career that I'd be in a world championship winning team. So very, very proud of everybody and what we've been able to achieve. And excited to enjoy it with everybody.
How much were you being kept up to date with the picture during the race as you were trying to fight your way back through? Because I guess they need to give you that info to know what's crucial.
I could see on the big screens what was going on, and I could see that the gap to Lando was to Carlos, was not that big. So I knew that trying to get back to the points was going to be tough. It was going to be important. It was tough to do that. But in the end, like I said on the radio, I don't think the history books really care about that. So we managed to make it happen, and very proud of everything that we've achieved this year.
Well, first things first, how are you going to celebrate tonight?
I don't know yet, but probably something that goes into the morning.
Because you don't have to test on Tuesday, do you?
No, I do. I'll be back in the car. So, I have to at least be able to drive, but I'm sure we'll all enjoy it tonight. And 2025 starts on Tuesday, and we'll make sure that we're in the hunt for both championships from the word go next year.
I was going to say, you up for a title tilt next year, Drivers' Championship?
I sure hope so. I think, this season's been a great improvement. Personally, I think, also for the team, it's been a massive step forward. I think for me, I know I've still got room to go and things to improve, but I feel like I've made a lot of big steps this year, and just excited to try and work on my opportunities in the off season and go again next year, because I really feel like this can be the start of something special. So I'll make sure I'm ready for the challenge next year.
Well, you got 36 hours to go and enjoy yourself, so have fun.
Thank you. I will.
Great stuff.
That's a good question, Chris, about the championship for Oscar Piastri next year.
Well, and also he just said what the whole ethos of what McLaren, if they did mess up, is that they didn't do it from the get-go. I.e., the car wasn't competitive, and they made it so, but they want to hit the ground running on Tuesday. He's not kidding. They want to get ahead because they need to be. They need to arrive in Australia with a potent winning car.
Yeah, and Bob Varsha, I want to ask you this question. Look, during the year there was some criticism of papaya rules and a little bit of this. Is this going to work? Are team orders? But they won the Constructors' Championship. I think Max was going to be unstoppable because, he's Max. But I think that this was a good thing that this team ethos that they've built, it worked. You have to say it worked. They won the Constructors' Championship.
Absolutely, it did. And I don't think it's very different from the ethos of every team up and down the pit lane. I mean, they all know how this works. No matter what the media or the fans think, there's a way you go about your business. There are 2 championships in play, and you cannot favor one to the detriment of the other, if you want to be ultimately successful. So, that was just one of the challenges McLaren faced, was that handling of the situation between drivers. Back in the days of Ron Dennis, who brought this team to life and took it to so much success, that was something that all of his drivers, particularly Alain Prost, gave him credit for. Understanding when people got angry or when feelings got hurt. There was one race, I don't know when it was, but Prost in his book talked about how he didn't qualify well, and he was kind of feeling sorry for himself back on the grid while his teammate Ayrton Senna was up on the front row. And Prost said, he looked up from his cockpit, and there was Ron Dennis, his team boss, standing there by his car in sort of silent, symbolic gesture of support for an eventual 4-time world champion. So, there's all these nuances. It's such an incredibly human story, as well as a technological and an athletic enterprise. We sometimes overlook in the heat of battle that these are human beings out there, and some need to be kicked in the butt. Some need to be massaged when it comes to their egos. It's just incredibly fun. Of course, we talk about it all year long, but it's just amazing to see it happen again and again and again.
That's really well put. I mean, thinking about the world today with there's so much competition to what to watch and content, and sports is one of those things where you can really see the human and the emotional side of all this. All right, guys, we got to get a quick break in. We'll continue to give you more from the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix right after this. Okay, let's check with the YouTubers. D said he wants to call in. Sure, D, do it. Kevin Kelly, Botas, 5-place grid penalty.
Give him a calendar.
Yeah, that's true. I will.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's funny, Kevin, I've got that all queued up for Casey to show the graphic. I wanted to play around with that. That's fun. Herding cats, says Mike Bull, LOL.
I've left the cats.
Oh, D said you've left the cat. D said the phone lines were busy, but I think Casey will open them up for you, D. Woodsource says, really liking OP and the path he's on. Yeah, maybe Mark Webb enjoys that success. Probably could have been his, just Oscar. Yeah. If Casey, you said you get the phone lines open for somebody to call in? All right, cool. All right, what else, boys?
I keep looking forward rather than back. I'm so excited. If the form guide continues into next year, I mean, what a fight. You put it all back to zero. Red Bull are the 3rd quickest team. Mercedes are on and off again. Ferrari are there now. And McLaren are now new world champions. I mean, there's really not a lot between the top 4 now going into what should be. I can't see anybody over the winter suddenly accelerating an advantage, given the rule won't change. So it's going to be really interesting next year.
Yeah. I'm just going to bring up the Constructors' Championship here. Okay, thank you. I will.
Yeah, and I'm also interested in, I mean, that midfield battle will start up again, and will someone like Alpine, will someone like Aston Martin step up? That's what interests me, is anybody can join that top 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm George Russell, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
At Sunoco, performance is what they do, and is one of the legendary brands in motorsports history, sitting at the front of the pack with sponsorships across more than 40 different race entities. They are now here to tell race fans everywhere that they have made their long-awaited return to the world of Formula One as the official sponsor of Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. Sunoco, no one knows racing like they do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news. I think we have... It's incredibly important. It has implications all the way into next year. Driver number 77, Valtteri Bottas, has been given a grid place penalty of 5 positions for his next race for causing a collision in turn 20 with car number 20. On turn 6, excuse me. So, yeah, Bottas is going to be in trouble for next year.
So that's what's next.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's that, Chris?
The year after, isn't it? If he gets a seat on the 26 grid, his first race, everyone's going to have forgotten. I'm going to mark this moment that we talk about it, because suddenly we'll remind ourselves 18 months on. They're like, oh, yeah, he had a penalty.
Too funny.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we have a caller on the line. We got one of our regulars. He hasn't called in a lot, but he's been regular on YouTube. We got D on the line. Hey, D, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, John. Thank you for having me on. I just wanted to say, this is the end of an era for Lewis Hamilton. I've been watching him since 2007 when Bob and the guys started doing covering Formula One. And, man, that was an incredible drive from him today.
Absolutely. I'm glad. I know you're a Hamilton fan, and absolutely, it was a fantastic race for Hamilton to get from the back. And we talked about the pass earlier in the show when he passed
Russell.
When he passed Russell on the outside, and it looked like a competitive pass. It didn't look like a gift, did it?
No.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree. And I think I talked about it on Twitter there, that I'm going to have to wear Ferrari red again for the first time in, 17 years now since MSC dropped out?
Yep.
Sounds about right, yeah.
18. Yeah, 18. 2006 was his last season with Ferrari.
Yeah, that's right. So, I just hope he can... in his last, how long is his contract for with Ferrari? Do you know?
3 years he signed, and as far as I'm aware, it's 3 straight, no break clauses. But obviously, if they wanted to talk about something, they could. But it's not like a 1+2 or a 2+1. From what I'm aware of, it's 3.
Okay. Yeah. So I really hope he, he works out those 3 years and. God, Ferrari is on the uptick now, so I really hope he's competitive next year.
Yeah, I think you're in a group of a lot of people that hope he's competitive. D, I want to thank you for calling in, but also want to thank you for listening. I want to thank all the guys and gals that listen on the radio and on YouTube, and I know you've been a big part of that. You've been listening to us for a long time, D. So thanks a lot, and have a great off season, and we'll talk to you next year.
All right. Sounds good. I appreciate all your hard work, and we'll hear you next year.
Okay. Thanks.
Cheers.
Speaking of next year, we'll still be doing our Sunday night shows all throughout the season. We got lots to talk about on those shows this year. This is going to be fun in the off season. So, yeah.
Oh, there's so much, there's so much out there that is off track.
I know. There is a ton. Hey, one thing I want to talk about, I said that I would do this maybe in the pre-show, is that I have the list of drivers that weren't born before McLaren's last.
Colapinto, Bierman.
Let's see.
Tsunoda, Lawson.
So I've got Piastri. Logan Sargent was on this list of this year. Yuki Tsunoda, Lando Norris, Zhou Guanyu, Lance Stroll, and Russell was born in 98, but in February. So I think that was probably a done deal. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. How many drivers weren't even born before McLaren's last championship? What else? Bob Varsha, I saw you smiling when D, the caller, was talking about your Formula One history. I mean, it's got to be.
Well,
go ahead.
It's funny that he put it, and I take no offense, but he says, "Well, back in 07 when Bob and David and Steve started covering Formula. I've been covering Formula One for 16 years at that point, but that's okay. It's this interesting phenomenon of, new fans of the sport who know little about what came before, and that's fine. But they might enjoy the sport if they go a little deeper into it and learn more about the history, not my history, but the sports history. And I have to make a note to remember that going forward. A lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about when I mention Senna and Prost and Maxwell and Piquet and on and on and on.
Good point.
Yeah. Greenie, what other? I mean, I've got some topics I'm thinking towards the end of the show, like Cadillac and things like that. But before we get to that, any other final thoughts about today or this 2024 season?
I'm just so glad that the words F, I, and A weren't used at all throughout that commentary and today, really, because that's the only again
a couple of small penalties.
Debbie Downer, I am obviously this morning, but I'm so glad that that went off without a hitch and we didn't have any controversy.
Yeah, and I'll ask Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Just to add a bit of colour actually right now. I've come to the back of the Mercedes hospitality. I was trying to look for Toto Wolff because there's a bit of commotion back here, and the reason was the entire team is out here and they've got one of Lewis Hamilton's helmets. And the entire team are signing it. So I assume it's his race-worn helmet, but even if it's not, it's the design he's worn this weekend. And the entire Mercedes team are writing little messages and signing his helmet. So that's a lovely touch. I'm sure it's going to be a lovely souvenir for him at the end of his final race with the team.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. We all saw Lewis kneeling by the side of his car as he said goodbye. It's not unusual for a championship level driver to receive his car, and I'm wondering if Lewis would even want this year's Mercedes.
Well, no. During the Skies coverage, he drove 3 of his top cars at Silverstone with Martin Brundle, and he opted for the 2021 version.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I guess that's because that would have been the quickest one, end of that cycle of regulations, and they were pushing those cars hard. But I'd have thought he'd have gone 2020 with a title, maybe with the memories of the 21 car, but interesting.
Yeah, the fact that...
I think it was, they only, he only had, there was 3 cars, so I think one was 14, one was 21. Yeah. But what he was saying was how nimble and how, he said it felt like a toy. Because it was so easy to manipulate, as it were, compared to the much bigger cars now. That was much smaller than
it. He does not get on with this generation of car at all. And to say that and then still have him put in a drive like today that gets him to 4th place. And let's not forget, when we talk about that, that was not a race where, a well-timed safety car helped him out or anything like that. He stayed out of trouble at the start, didn't make the gains that the clerk did, but that's because he was the only driver on hard tyres. So he had a big disadvantage off the line, but he also then managed to still make good progress, settle in, start to pick cars off as they started to struggle with their tyres. He was really, that was typical Lewis Hamilton kind of calculated, smart race. And his final stint was on the medium tyre, coming back at everybody. So I think that was...
we're losing you, Chris.
If you'd have asked me before this race, I'd have said there's going to be slight concerns at Ferrari about Hamilton and about... Sorry about that. One of you... Winter, isn't it? Has he still got it? Will he have it at Ferrari? Well, I think after today and after Vegas and the race performances, they're going to be more confident, but they're going to be aware that maybe qualifying is not going to be so strong.
Look at his results in the last, few weeks.
Vegas.
Back to Vegas, I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, Chris, is that, does Hamilton still have it, right? I mean, I think that's the question. And it's how old is Hamilton?
39.
I was going to say, is he about to be 40? So he'll be 40 next year. Joining Ferrari at 40. How about that? That's a T-shirt.
Life begins at 40.
Life begins at 40. Yeah.
Wasn't that what the Patrick Dempsey movie Racing in the Rain
was
about? One of the things that made it seem so silly was that this driver at an advanced stage of about 40, became a Ferrari Formula One driver, living his dream. And I thought, well, okay. Does that happen in real life? I guess it does.
Hey, Chris, speaking of drivers in their 40s or 50s or however, how's Sonny Hayes doing out there? Are his fans giving him a proper send-off?
Oh, yeah, he had a huge moment. Lots of cheers, lots of champagne being sprayed. There was stuff going on. To be honest, I don't know the context of the scene, but the podium was packed for him. So it was quite funny because I was in the McLaren garage at that stage, grabbing whoever I could grab, and then you could hear the podium music off again, and a load of guests sort of ran out thinking what we missed, because usually that's all done and dusted. So it's quite funny actually to see the impact that had. But they're going to be filming here for another week. Actually, they wrap on filming at the end of next week here in Abu Dhabi. They said, and then they will be into the edit suite. And they're really excited about that film, I must admit. They remind us all that it is Hollywood. It is a Hollywood script. It is an entertaining story where you've got to commit to characters and storylines and drama, but it's all been done here on location in paddocks, on racetracks, during race weekends, with real drivers driving real cars, but real actors driving real cars. They've trained properly for it. They've been at Paul Ricard in the south of France. Brad Pitt now has the bug as a racing driver. It's that's been a fun thing to see kind of in and around us this year. I've been enjoying that.
Yeah, and I would argue that not since the famous Le Mans film, where they took the entire Le Mans grid, or at least 3/4 of it, after the Le Mans race, and then did their filming with Steve McQueen. I don't think we've ever seen this much crossover between a movie and the real life.
Is that
well, Bernie Ecclestone would never allow it. I can tell you
exactly
because
right.
I sat in his press in Monaco once and discussed it, and he was so fed up after the way Grand Prix with John Frankenheimer was shot and disrupted race weekend and all the merchants and what have you, that he said he wasn't going to have all those movie people on the side of a race anymore.
Movie people.
A question about the F1 movie with Brad. Is there a female love interest, so to speak, in that movie? I don't
know. That's a good question.
How can a Brad Pitt movie not have
I think the producer at Sky's in it. She's
come off it. I was about to say we have to wait and see. Actually, I think to be fair, him just walking up and down the pit lane generally does mean that there's a lot of marriages that hit the rocks during the end of the season because to be fair, the guy looks damn good in a race suit. But I think that's to be confirmed what goes on that front. The technical director of the team is female. So they've imposed a strong leadership position there, which is kind of cool because obviously we've had team principals before, but not a technical director. And it's a bit of a crossover. But a lot of what they do in the film, they were talking to us about it actually a couple of days ago, is based on historical events in F1. They've taken times things have happened and gone, right, either they're essentially using that, but using it for their own storyline, or they're going, well, there's proof that this would happen. So if we do this, we can, if anyone goes, oh, you wouldn't see that, or that's sensational. It's like, yes, and here's when it happened in F1 in the past. So hopefully people that have no idea about Formula One, and obviously they're not, if those people are probably not listening to our show right now, but hopefully might be in future because they've watched the film, might Google certain things and be like, did this really happen? And they'll be told yes, and that will really kind of expand their appreciation and understanding of the sport.
Wow, that's cool. All right, hey, we got to get a quick break in our final break, and when we come back, we'll wrap it up and wrap up the 2024 Formula One season as well. Back after these messages. All right, let's check the YouTubers.
Oyster Bay.
What?
Oyster Bay.
What'd he say?
Just above the Speed Channel.
Joe Oyster Bay. Let's see. He says, Bob's my first F1 guy. And then Andy P says, Bob and the gang taught me so much in my younger days. I caught the bug from these guys. The Speed Channel was big for me. And then Joe Oyster Bay says, back then I thought Will Buxton was an interestingly dressed lesbian. Oh, come on, Joe. That's not... You made me read it, by the way.
I mean, he's interestingly dressed.
Yes.
What part of lesbian is he from?
I do have to admit that
very, very clever.
Very first time I saw Will Buxton in person was back in 2012 when they came to Austin. And everybody, when they came to Austin, they got cowboy boots.
Yeah.
But somebody had done Will a bad favor. They put him...
he chose his boots.
Well, yeah, his boots were they just were not. They were look like Hollywood cowboy boots and tight, skinny jeans with the. It just was not. It didn't.
It was all
work.
wrong.
It was all wrong. So, oh, let's see what else.
I got a good one for you.
That's why there's boot cut jeans.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. I got a good one for you. You know, we were talking about Hamilton's motivation. Well,
yeah.
You can't get any more motivation. They're moving him into Mr. Ferrari's house at Maranello.
Yeah.
They're not.
I know.
They're not. It was a
fake rumor.
That one blew up. Yeah, that one blew up, and Ferrari and Lewis had to address it. They're like, no.
That's right. I'd forgotten that it was a
Johnny.
rumor.
No. I'm sad because I thought that was a really good story. That would have been kind of prophetic.
Joe redeemed himself. He says,
but he only lives in Monaco.
He says, I love Will Buxton. He's the Shatner of F1.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's good. All right, we're coming
I might
back.
tell him that if I see him.
Yeah.
Hello to everyone. This is Gunther Steiner. This is Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
Hey, Chris Medland, you got to hang out with Gunther Steiner in the last couple of days, didn't you?
Yeah, you did.
I did. Yeah, I did I hosted a Q&A with him, basically, as part of the Race Industry Week. I had a good old chat with him to kind of find out things he's been doing actually outside of F1. Right now, though, he's here in the paddock. I've just walked past him again. He's doing television. And I'm just trying to... The reason I'm walking past him and up and down the paddock all the time is I'm trying to find Toto Wolff. He brought that up in that Q&A I did.
He did, yes. He did bring that. He was talking about being famous. Yeah, it was
you're
great.
Kidding.
Yeah. He goes, you made me famous, Chris, for that line.
He was not happy about that, I think. He was like, no, I did not swear. And you made it look like I might have. And everyone started talking about it. I heard what I heard.
We all heard it.
We all heard it. And Chris, you made us famous, too, because you got us on Netflix.
That's right.
True.
Well,
sadly,
we're looking forward. Yeah, we're looking forward to the Netflix exclusive reporter brings Alpine down bit, because he was talking about he had Netflix crew standing over him while he was telling us about whether they should put Doohan in the car.
Yeah. Oh, so what's happening around you now, Chris? Where are you?
So I went down to Red Bull to see if Christian Horner was around, and he's already in debrief. And quite interesting. I would have thought this would be one debrief that you might skip and find out later, because there's not a race next week to need to know about. You can just pick it up off your desk at some stage. But clearly he wants to know. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Sergio Perez's last debrief, and it'll be a short one after the way the race went for him. Although Checo did suggest that he thinks he had a problem with his car prior to the contact with Bottas, so that he was going to be retiring anyway in that race.
Yeah, so a short debrief. How'd it go? How was your race? Hey, who's going to be in the Red Bull? We know Tsunoda's going to be in the Red Bull, but who's going to be testing for the Tuesday for Red Bull?
So I believe it's going to be Tsunoda and Hadjar. I haven't had that confirmed, but I think Hadjar is the reserve, who is a rookie, can do that. So I believe that might be the pairing. I'll need to double that. I actually think we're going to hear from Christian Horner after we go off air. So it's going to be a midweek one, that one. But I will double check it. In fact, you tell you what, but here I am hovering around trying to see if I can find Toto Wolff. Let me go and ask Red Bull for you. I'll get you an answer.
There you go.
Wow. Yeah, I just, because I was just wondering who would be in the RB. Would Lawson be out there? I know the decisions have all well been made, I'm sure. But I just find it interesting that Tsunoda's going to get at least a chance of driving that car.
I want to go to you, Bob Varsha. This is McLaren's 9th, I think. Let me go back to it. Yes, 9th Constructors' Championship. And you being the historian of Formula One that you are,
I'm just going to cut you all off because, I'm getting stick from Christian Horner and the rest of the print media, who I try and mingle with the rest of the weekend. And then I come in here thinking I'm above the wall with a microphone, and they know I'm not. But I've got Christian Horner. Actually, first question, Christian. We're just trying to work out. You've got Yuki testing next week, and who else? Is it Isaac Hadjar?
Yeah, we have Hadjar doing the junior tests, obviously, for us, and Yuki doing the Pirelli TAR test. So it's a great opportunity for Yuki to work with the engineering team and get a run in RB20.
Does it give him a chance to prove himself at all? Does that make any difference to any potential future decisions?
As you well know, anytime you sit in a Formula One car, it's an opportunity to prove yourself. So, it's a good opportunity for Yuki. It's a great opportunity for Isaac. So let's see.
And let's reflect on today's race first. Turn 1, Max. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, Max was just speaking to it. He saw a bit of a gap. He went for it. He said, "I don't think Oscar saw me." The gap closed down, and so he committed at that point. Not the greatest start for us to the Grand Prix, obviously with a 10-second penalty. But what I have to do is congratulate McLaren today on their World Championship. They've been very strong. They've had 2 very strong drivers this year, and well done to all the men and women in Woking. We know how hard it is to win a Constructors' World Championship. The hours that go into that. So to Zak and the team, Andrea, very well done.
Does it sting not to be able to defend that title?
Look, it's never great to lose a title, but I think for us, we take solace from 9 victories, 3 more than any other team, 10 poles. We didn't get to keep all of them, but 10 is still the biggest number this year. 4 sprint race victories, which is the biggest number of sprint wins. So, and of course, Max defending his Drivers' World Championship. So overall, it's still been a hell of a year for us, and the team can be very proud of what they've achieved in a definitely a challenging season.
Yeah, with what Max produced and the way he won that driver's title, do you think that was a sign of him outperforming the car, or if you had someone who performed more strongly alongside him, you could have won both?
I think that Max has been outstanding this year. He was the outstanding driver of the year. He delivered on days when the car just, wasn't. He outperformed the car on occasion. You think back to the beginning of the year, some of the races that we were winning, were quite incredible. Barcelona, Imola, Montreal, big race wins. But the team never gave up, and we got performance on the car. Around Austin time, we came back. That win in Brazil will go down in history. That's an iconic drive that I'll watch again over the winter for sure, because you don't get to take it all in at the time. And Qatar just last weekend, another massive performance from him. So but I think now a well-deserved break for everybody, and we come back and do it all again in about 8 weeks' time.
Yeah, it won't be long, but and Tuesday's test as well. But for Checo, sadly, it didn't end well today. A very early retirement for him. How disappointed are you to see it kind of end on that note?
Look, it's tough for Checo. He's been a great team member, and he's had a really tough year. And we'll reflect on that after this weekend. But you got to feel for him. Again, retiring from the race, a race that he wanted to, finish the season at least on a high. But you've got to look back at the years that he's done with the team, the 5 victories, the second in the World Championship last year. And, he'll always be a big part of this team.
Does it feel like a break's best for both parties now, though?
Well, look, as I say, we'll reflect, get today out of the way, and then we'll reflect on, what happened this year and how we move forward.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Christian. Thank you for all your help this year as well.
Thank you for your 3 listeners that are sitting no doubt in a tractor somewhere. Thank you for them and for tuning in and listening to your absolute dribble for most of the year.
That's exactly how it's been. Thank you.
Ooh!
What a cheap shot.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
It's a cheap shot at me, not at you guys.
Now we realise that, but you've been dogged, man. You've asked him 5 times today whether he's keeping him or not.
Well, Chris,
get back on your horse, Christian, and face the right way this time.
We're out of time, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in all year long. Don't forget, we are going to continue in the off-season on our Sunday night with Speed City show. Go to our website, speedcitybroadcast.com, for how to find that. And, of course, Chris and I on Wheel to Wheel on Wednesday for a couple more shows. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Bob Varsha, Jonathan Green, Chris Medland. Talk to you soon.
Happy trails.